Welcome to the Kirkpatrick podcast, bridging traditions and trends in learning and performance evaluation. Whether you're a seasoned learning professional or just starting out, join us as we dive into the Kirkpatrick model like never before. Through stories and insights, we are fusing time-honored methods with cutting-edge innovations to help you navigate the ever-evolving world of learning and performance evaluation. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Kirkpatrick podcast. It's Vanessa and Jim. Hey, Jim.
Hello. Nice to see you again. Work with you.
Yes. I am very excited to talk about today's topic. It's one word that I share often with the team of a goal of mine internally in our organization, and it is automation. It's like if there's one word for me for this whole year, it is automation. I want to work smarter, not harder. And I think that we are in a world and in a technological place with all the advancements happening at the speed of light that I think there's a lot of opportunity to automate learning outcomes and automate training and automate the Kirkpatrick model. How do you feel about the automation, Jim?
Well, I'm just picturing what would the podcast that was going to go out, the week before this one, and you were, into relationships and relations. All of a sudden, this is quite a shift. Can the two exist together? Can they work well together? The virtual, world that I'm not all that familiar with versus the real face-to-face thing. How do those blend together?
Yeah. So I will say, one of the things that we hear often is level 3 is a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And level 3 is a lot of work on us. Level 3 is a lot of work on our managers. I think even before people get to level 4 being a lot of work, they just look at the idea of the idea of having manager touch bases and one-on-one conversations, doing observations and all of these things. People are like, I don't think I can do this. However, one of the reasons I think levels 1 and 2 are so popular and doable is because they're easy. There's a survey tool. And a lot of learning management systems now, right? They come with a survey tool. So you can create a template of one and you can just go and copy it, for the course that you're doing, and you're done, right? Level 1, check, done. Knowledge check, people come up with a few questions. They may or may not create very good knowledge check questions. And that is a whole nother topic for another podcast. Like, what color is the sky? Blue, purple, pink. Those sorts of very obvious knowledge check questions, right? But that's easy. You create it in your learning management system or you're creating in your authoring tool. The authoring tool calculates it for you. It sends the score to, the learning management system, and it automatically creates a report so you can see who passed, who failed, what the score was. Done for you. That is all automation. When we talk then about level 3, what are we talking about? The observations, right? The conversations, the coaching conversations, the touch bases, and the fact that it's a longer trajectory, right? Behavior change and knowledge doesn't happen overnight. It happens when, it takes time. You have to get your reps in, we love to do a good fitness metaphor. And I think the only way to build up your strength, right, is you just have to keep doing your strength training. You up a little bit of weight, here and there. You practice with your form and you get better over time. Same thing with what it is that your initiative. And so I think though, right now in 2024, we're in a place where we're going to be able to more easily automate level 3.
Yep.
There are so many tools out there that can automate coaching. I've been exploring, some of them, and the vendors will reach out, and I'll do a lot of demos because I love to stay up to date as to what the technology is out there because I want to recommend good technology. And there's coaching tools, there's reminders, and you know me, I love a good marketing anything and situation. In marketing, there's the idea of like a drip campaign, right? Where you drip out emails at a certain sequence based on the person's interests. You can do the same thing with level 3, and you can drip out those touch bases, and you can drip out those reminders to have those touch bases to the managers. And you can set up the entire sequence of how to, of when they should be having those conversations, how you'd be collecting that data, and you can automate it. You don't have to send the email. You don't have to send the email saying, hey, let's jump on a quick call and let's see how you're doing. A quick 15 minutes. I just want to catch up and see how you're doing with that.
Yep.
You can
Yep.
set it up, schedule it, and it goes for you. And then you can even include a link to your calendar where they can book in time with you based on the settings that you have, the availability that you have.
Got it.
It's easier now to automate level 3 than it has been in the past. Providing those when we talk about designing with the end in mind, right? You should be designing those level 3 required drivers, right? You should be
Wait a
designing.
minute. Are you suggesting that an instructional designer who is used to designing and developing training programs should also be designing ways using technology and innovation and automation
Yeah,
to help to reinforce the
yeah.
training?
Absolutely. I think that
Oh,
if you leave it up to chance and you leave it up to managers to
ah,
figure out what they're supposed to do, they're not going to do it. So I think the easiest thing, and the smartest thing, again, your girl loves to work smarter, not harder, is to, while you're in the thick of development and developing the tools and support that the managers are going to need to reinforce what it is that you're developing.
we call when I'm with a group of people, I say, "How many of you are instructional designers?" And they always raise their hand. A lot, sometimes half the
Mhm.
class either is or has been. And I'll say, "Well, we just got done doing a lot of talk about things you and I are just talking about." I
Mhm.
say, from this day forward, I'm not going to. It may say instructional designer on your business card, your job description, but from now on, I'm going to look at you as a learning and performance architect because you're doing
Mhm.
more than just designing instruction. You are building a
Correct.
package that is a learning and performance package. And you know what? That happened about a year ago. And the next
Mhm.
day, one of the participants came in and she had a new box of business cards
So
and
cute.
she
I love
handed
that.
them all out and it said learning and performance architect. I said, "Did you share it with your boss?" "No, I paid for it myself." Yes,
I love that. And
yeah,
I
she
think
really
that's,
did.
I mean, and really when you go on the LinkedIn and you see what everyone's talking about, what everyone's talking about is being a performance consultant and how do I become a performance consultant? Well, how about when you get the request for training, you build those packages for the
Uh,
performance, right? And I could say, here you go. And it becomes a lot easier to then, going back to our conversation last week about buy-in, becomes a lot easier to get buy-in because there's nothing that this person has to do other than execute, right? And you can help them with the execution through automation of reminders. Hey, it's time to have your 90-day touch base with your new hire. Here's some guiding questions to help you have that conversation. And then following up and saying, hey, how did that call go? What went well, any challenges, because it's also going to give you feedback for managers of where they may need some additional support. And then also what worked well. Is there like a tip
oh yes.
that we can then utilize and give to other managers for that have to also have similar conversations? A
I'd
lot
like
to
to
learn.
let me talk more about that.
Yeah.
You just triggered something that I can contribute to intelligently here. We hear on a phone when we're waiting for someone to come off the queue, this call may be monitored for quality
Mm-hmm.
and training purposes. We've been hearing it for years. And I think about that, and it really says a lot because it's doing a couple things. One, it's checking to see if the person is doing it correctly. Quality check, quality assurance, quality control, but also quality and training purposes. It's also saying,
Mhm.
well, we're not just checking quality, check 1, 2, 3, 4. We're also trying to draw some conclusions about what do we need to do either to help someone who is struggling it or a group struggling in a
Mhm.
certain area, or Vanessa, what you just said, for training purposes, let's uncover those who are doing it better and
Mhm.
faster that we can now integrate into the training that's a little stale. So it
Yeah.
isn't just about training purposes. We're going to correct your misbehavior. It is, we want to integrate what you did well, and we captured it, whether it's on a video call or a phone call. And that's where automation can do both.
Yeah. And I think what is so great about that is people, it's a real story. I know that when you're designing, that's what we crave as designers. What's a real situation where this has happened? What's a real life scenario? Because if we have to come up with them, it's a lot harder, and oftentimes they may not feel super realistic because we may not have performed that job. You know, I do a lot of work with pharma companies, and so like I'll come up with a scenario for a sales rep, and I'm like, now I know them really well because I've done ride-alongs and I've integrated and I've worked with them for over 15 years. When I first started, they would look at my scenarios and they're like, Vanessa, that is so unrealistic. That's like pie in the sky sort of scenario. So now if you have those recordings, you have those conversations, you can this becomes your library of real life scenarios and show people like, hey, this works. This is your proof because it worked for this person.
And it doesn't mean they have to be pulled out of their job to go back for 2 days of training. It can be something that can be transmitted to them. I got a quick story to tell you. I used to be
Mm-hmm.
a clinical psychologist. I don't know if you knew that or not, and
No.
PhD, all that jazz stuff. So now
Mm-hmm.
don't back away from me now that you know that. I'm still a regular guy, but
Are you going to therapy me? Maybe that might be, let's not go
you're a whole.
wild now.
But anyway, um, we used to have patients, clients in
Yeah.
while I was in my PhD training, and they would videotape it, and
Oh, wow.
the scene, and then afterwards, or they'd be behind the one-way mirror,
Mm-hmm.
colleagues and professors and stuff, and then afterwards, we debrief it, and what would happen is, they'd say, well, you did this and did that. I said, no, I didn't. I did this and that. Or really, I know what I did. I didn't do that. Let's go back and look at the videotape. Sure enough, I did it. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the point I'm making is if you're recording something, you're using technology to actually capture what's happening. People could fill out a survey any way they want, or you could interview them in a focus group. They could say anything they want, but
Mm-hmm.
this is factual.
Yeah.
The technology, you can't fake it. And then obviously it eliminates back and forth. Oh, I didn't do that. I didn't say that. Or I don't think that. It really captures the truth. So automation can be much more, it's not bias. Okay.
Yeah.
As a survey bias and focus groups, interviews are you're going to get bias. But when you actually see it, automation captures it. There's no bias. Technology is not biased. So we can
And
get
I
more truth and make better decisions.
Absolutely. And that's really what the goal is, right? Is to really
Yes.
get the truth to make those better decisions. And I
Yeah.
think too, going back to just some opportunities with the automation, one of the things that I know you're very big on, Jim, is rewarding people for good behavior. You can automate that.
Yes.
You really can. Sending out, I have a colleague who or a good friend of mine that she's another business owner. She owns an instructional design academy. She's the queen of automation.
Oh,
She's actually even teaching, doing a speaking engagement on it soon for the Learning Guild. And she actually was showing me, because like when I told you, like automation is my like word that I want to be doing more of so that I can free up the team's time to be doing other things that are more important that like the technology can do. What she does is actually when people they like complete a certain part of the program or they do something good, she's able to through a form send them gifts. So she sends a form and say like they got through 25% of the program. I want to send them something to keep them going and motivate them.
Yeah.
She has them, once they complete something in the learning management system, it automatically through a tool called Zapier, it gets sent to another tool that sends out like a little, gift, like a notebook or something with the logo of, the course or like the school and stuff like that. Those sorts of reward or motivational touch points can happen without someone having to see it and do it. It can be things utilizing the technology that you have in front of you to help send those motivational, like you did a really great thing. Let's say your passing score on something is an 80 and someone got a 95. Well, maybe you set up an automation, like if someone scores a 95% or above, send just like a congratulatory email, you know what I mean? Or like just like a little nice note. And that's something that can be done automatically. It doesn't have to take more time out of your day. But it means so much to the person that's receiving it.
Vanessa, the word on the street is that level 3 is too expensive. How
Oh.
expensive is that? The automation takes, but how expensive is it when we give a senior leader, here are 8 people under your watch that are doing a really good job. I got this
Mm-hmm.
list from your line managers. How about if you just tap each of them? They'll either make a quick call or they'll send an email. They're glad to do it. And the people are thrilled to get that, aren't they? And
Mm-hmm.
how expensive is that compared to, 100 hours of instructional design? Now that's
Mm-hmm.
expensive. So that the excuse level 3 is too expensive is it just isn't true. Leverage that
Well,
for reinforcement.
since we're on a day where, if you listen to the previous podcast, you know that I gave away Kirkpatrick's secret. I'm going to give away an anchored training secret in this
Oh,
podcast.
I'm listening to this.
And the secret is it is a lot cheaper for us to design large programs. And it's a lot less expensive for us to really think about what are the level 3 things that we can be developing and supporting and automating and do more of that. Because oftentimes it's not really the initial training that is the problem. It's the fact
Yeah.
that we're not reminding people of what it is that they learned. So again, here's another, good tip for automation. Sending out, really thinking about the life cycle, what it is that they're learning, and when is it that they're going to have to perform that task, and timing a reminder or a tip to go out at that time. So for example, if one of your jobs is to do annual review, your manager gives you an annual review, that the manager probably had an annual review, like how to do an annual review, how to give performance feedback, module or training. Hopefully, if they had a manager training, that was maybe a year before they had to actually do it. Now they're faced with the fact that they have to go and perform the task, and they're like, I don't remember how to do this. So if the learning team can remember and can design from the beginning, right? And automate that email getting sent out 30 days before, 2 weeks before these performance evaluations start to happen with
Yep.
some tips, reminders. It could just be a quick infographic. That is more powerful than having to go realizing that the performance evaluations, there were a lot of mistakes. People need to be, I just read something. How do we need to give our managers coaching training because they don't know how to like give proper coaching feedback. I'm like, well, maybe the training was fine. You just need a reminder of how to do it right before they do it. And you can automate those things.
But you know what? People are afraid of what you're talking about because they're saying, I make a living with level 1 and level 2 and
Mm-hmm.
automating training. I'm afraid that if I give up that, I'm gonna be out on the streets. The opposite is true. The more that you are involved using automation and technology, virtual kinds of things for the business side, the workplace, the more you're going to see as adding value. It's going to work just the opposite way of what people are afraid of.
Yeah, well, Jim, I will say, as I'm going to put my business owner hat on, what I truly care about is what comes out of the level 3 and level 4.
Yeah.
And so if my team that's developing training, like our internal training programs, if they can build more of those supports, and that's really what I tell people. I'm like, I need more supports. Like, what do we need to be providing our team? So we're reinforcing the behaviors we want them to do. That's where I want them to be spending their time, because that's where we're going to actually make results that lead to achieving our strategic plan and our vision.
And you know what's exciting? You're the business owner. That very soon we're going to start to have podcasts with
Mhm.
business owners, not just all learning people, but business owners. And we're going to be asking them, what do you need to see from people in learning and development or learning and performance in order to win favor with us? So we're going to be getting
Mhm.
some really exciting guests we have lined up, and I'm not exactly sure the timing of that, but I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. And I think too, I would be remiss if we did not talk very quickly about AI. And here is
What's
where I
AI?
think,
No, I
oh, just like a little robot friend that we all have.
know.
And I think, one of the things that we can really would be helpful for us to do, and that we can really go back to our vendors, because they're all plugging in AI in some way. And think about your technology vendors. Think about the ones that have a knowledge base or your learning management system. Ask them how they're integrating AI, and how they can automate these reminders, or how
Oh,
they can automate recommended additional training at a certain interval, right?
mm,
That is what you want to be doing. You want to build it. It's like a crock pot, like set it and forget it almost, right? Like you set up everything. Like this is what I do when I travel. I make sure everything is set so there's no questions for my kids. Like their stuff is ready.
yeah.
Everyone knows what they're eating, like snacks, everything, right? Because I can set it and forget it. I don't have to actually be there and being reminding and like texting my mom, don't forget to pack a snack or don't forget to do this. I literally list out, which is funny because I used to like get so annoyed when she would leave me like all these notes around the house, and now I'm doing it for her. But I list out what it is I want them to do and when I want them to do it. And it's a way of automating and getting done. And I don't have to always follow up on it while I'm working on something else.
One last thing I want to say, and speaking for myself, I have been
Hmm.
trained in project management technology, and I
Yeah.
went through the class, all day class, and they almost had to take my fingers and put them on the keys to
Hmm.
have me do it right,
Hmm.
over my hands. And at the end, I finished, but then the class was over, and when I went back to the job to try and do it one time, I got stuck in about 13 seconds. There was no manual. There's no one to help, no help desk, nobody to turn to. And that whole training was a waste of time because I just said, I'm stuck. So make sure you that that people have the resources to turn to, or you turn to them to make sure they're using the technology properly. Because I'm a
Hmm.
I'm a poster person for that, of struggling with technology. I've launched more laptops. No, I never have, but I felt
Oh,
like
my
it's
husband does.
okay. Well, that's
Hmm.
not okay. Well,
He's
so
gotten
we
very
can we can
frustrated
feel
with
that way,
technology.
can't we? But we need the help afterwards because the
Hmm.
technology, people build the technology, but we need help in actually figuring out. I can get lost real easy and miss one thing, one keystroke, and I'm dead in the water
Hmm. Well,
unless I
and
have
just take it
something to
step by
turn to.
step. Yeah, something to turn to, and just knowing that you can take it step by step.
Right.
And I think when it comes to the model and automating it or not automating it, just doing it, we'll get overwhelmed because it feels very big.
Yes.
And level three can feel very big. But if you take it step by step and do little by little, one initiative, one project, one program, do one little thing, it becomes a lot easier. Again, you're building up those reps. And so I think that there's really great opportunity. We're in an amazing time to really be leveraging and combining technology and the work that we're doing so that we can be more efficient at our jobs, and just become more productive with our time and do what we need to be doing more of, which is building those relationships and talking more about performance.
Nothing I can add to that.
Music
That's
to your
terrific.
ears, right, Jim?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, friends, I want to know how you are utilizing AI and automation in your work. And if you're using it with level three or even level one and two, or maybe even level four, who knows? But I'd just love to know how you're utilizing technology and automation. You can leave a comment on our YouTube channel, reach out to us on LinkedIn, or just send us an email. But again, just let us know how it is that you're utilizing it so we can highlight those stories and share them with others. We're all about community and learning from each other. So friends, thank you so much for listening and for watching. Please make sure you follow and you subscribe to the podcast, and we will see you next week for a very special episode. Talk to you soon, friends.
Bye, everybody.